it's Ariel. So I'm doing a video here on my opinion of the which is better for the continuous glucose monitors between the Freestyle Libre 2 and the Dexcom G6, which is better for hypoglycemia. So I've had severe hypoglycemia for most of my life. I have it bad enough that it would cause seizures. So anyway, I didn't know how to work with it though, because it moves so quickly that it's hard to see. You know, if you just do a finger stick, you get this one moment in time and it doesn't show you the whole picture. So a continuous glucose monitor, I first got to see an endocrinologist last November, so it's been like 10 months. She put the CGM on me, and then I've been wearing it ever since. And I will say that that has been how I have managed to get to where I'm not crashing every day. And it's insanely different. So it's huge. I was literally having crashes where I'd lie down and not be able to get up and be in a daze for hours. And it was actually my blood sugar. So I'm not having those now so much, and so I have a lot more energy. And I've had to learn a lot about myself and how my body reacts to things, and change my diet multiple times and all this stuff. But in the last year or so, I have managed to get things much better. And thanks, in a lot of that was due to having a continuous glucose monitor. Now, the Libre 2, they did not have an app for it until just recently. So I was just using the reader, which is this little thing, and then I have the Libre on the back of one of my arms. Like I said, it was very helpful, but I had a couple problems, which is, one, waking up at night. I had one alarm on there that would go off at 70. And so if I was asleep and it went to 70, the alarm would go off. But what would happen, and I would try so hard to remember to like get up, because I have food in a basket right next to me on my bed, right, with certain snacks, with certain amount of carbs, and exactly, like, I know exactly what to eat for what situation, right? So it's very figured out previously. But when I wake up and, you know, I've been sleeping, right, it's not always, I'm not the most together. So I'll, you know, sometimes I fall back asleep without actually getting to the food. And the problem with the Libre is that the alarm doesn't go off again until it goes above 70 next time. So if it goes below 70 and I fall back asleep, then the alarm doesn't go off again. And so couple, like, I don't know, maybe a month ago, I guess, you know, I had a really bad crash for like 4 hours in the morning one time, where it had gone off, and I literally like just missed that one time where I didn't wake up and eat something, and my blood sugar went down to, the thing that it does for me is it goes down to about 55, and I go into like a daze, and I go in and out of sleep, and then after a couple hours, somehow my body gets a little blood sugar, and that kind of brings me out of it, and I'm able to wake up and stuff, and then eat something. But that's only when I realize that that's what's happening after it's happened. So, and I feel horrible. So, you know, I woke up that day to that, and this is having this, you know, continuous glucose monitor for 9 months, and I was going, okay, this is like, you know, and it's great. It has alarms. I mean, if it didn't have alarms, it would be very different for me too. Like I said, the one alarm is fantastic. It makes a huge difference for me. Wakes me up every night like 4 or 5 times, which has been what's managed my blood sugar, right? Like that's why I have any energy. Which, if you know me and my other illnesses, they're a lot about energy. So having a little more energy is huge, and I'm really grateful for it. And I really want to continue to have it. So whatever I can do to make that the best. When I have looked at the Dexcom, it is way more expensive, and it had more things that I liked about it. And so I really wanted to try it. Granted, it's like about $400 to $500 a month for everything. The sensors, the transmitter, all this stuff. That's what it ends up being. So it's just like, how are you supposed to afford that if your insurance doesn't cover it? And as I mentioned, the insurance at the moment it's not covered. So the Libre is not covered, but I pay about $45 a month for the sensors and everything. Then like that's possible. Let's just put it that way. You know, $400 a month is very different than that. So I was just not going to do it because I was thinking that, right, like I can't afford that. So I'm just not going to do it. Hi, sweetie. And then I decided I just really wanted to try it. So I got the Dexcom and put it on, and then for I think at least a week or something, I had both of them on. And so I did some comparisons. Shh, Danny. And I wanted to show what I saw, because it's really important. And so I was going to show these pictures here. I know this is a funny way to do it, but I'm not the best at editing videos. So anyway, this is the Libre reader. The Dexcom is connected to my phone, to the Dexcom app. The Dexcom also has way more alarms, which is awesome. So right here, they were looking pretty much the same. Then the Dexcom was catching a low, right? And then the Libre wasn't at all, right? So it's going low, and it just, the Libre wasn't catching it at all, and the Dexcom was catching it, and the Libre was giving me, nothing. And then the Dexcom has these predictions, right? And I didn't really know what that meant, but it's actually because it alerts you to the fact that you're gonna get urgent low soon, which is like an extra alarm, right? And so if it thinks you're gonna be within 20 minutes of going to 55, then it goes off, right? So that's an extra good one, right? So then here I continued to go down, and they call that an urgent low, which is under 55, and there is an alarm always on there that goes off if you get that low, which until this week, I did not have that capability on the Libre 2. So honestly, like I said before, one of the things that's been a big problem is just having no safety net of, like, if I miss that one alarm at 70, I'm screwed. Granted, now when I put it on the app on my phone, it has an urgent low, but it doesn't have the other ones, and so I find that it's still not enough. But I'm really glad they added that to the app. But for the moment, with the reader versus the Dexcom, there is no urgent low on the Libre. Okay, so then it was going back up and see the difference in the numbers, as you can see. And then this is just a picture I was trying to show, like, at different times, how many carbs I'd had to go with the times. So then here we're going back up, and you can see they're still very different. So then here, it kept going up. And then here I tried to show how at the same time that this one was reading at 78, that one was at 95. This is my phone with the Dexcom app. So then here you can see the Libre is going down, right? And says that it's going down quickly. That's what the arrow means. And here we're steady with the Dexcom. And then this was low, and this one was sort of low. And then this one was somewhat low, and this one was fine. And what came to happen for me was that basically, like, here it goes up to 151 quickly, and here it was staying at 116. Like, it seems to me that basically the Dexcom is way more accurate. Let's just say that, for one thing, but also generally accurate, but also catching things that the Libre was not. Then here is a time that they were pretty close. So I took a picture of that because it didn't happen very often. This is where you can see that night where I fell asleep after, taking, let's see, there we go. Fell asleep, so it goes way down for like 4 hours, because that was where I fell asleep after that one alarm went off and I didn't get up to it and eat enough. So then here's just some more again, you know, which there's a big difference for me between this. It may not be that many points, but when you get down to these numbers, it really matters. You know, the difference between 59 and 72 if you have hypoglycemia is a big, big deal. And so I think it's really a big deal that this is this different, right? So then keep going on here. So then here I was showing that same one that I showed before. Oh shoot, I think I already went through all these. Okay, this is another time that they were pretty similar. Of course, not so much here, as you can see. And then here, this is with my finger stick glucometer. And I know that there is a lag time. I realize that that is how this works with the interstitial fluid and the continuous glucose monitor versus the finger stick monitor. However, in this situation, my finger stick glucometer and the Dexcom were the same, and the Libre was very different. And what I did is, because I thought, okay, so, you know, so here we're just continuing with the, like, they're not the same. And here you can see it again, it's 94, 92, 84. And it may not be like, seem like a big deal that if you have your numbers in the 100, 200, the difference between 160 and 175 may not be that big of a deal. But when you get down to having hypoglycemia where like it's a constant difficulty to stay above 70, you know, if it tells me it's 90 and I'm actually at 70, that's really not good. If it tells me I'm at 70 and I'm at 90, I'll be taking something to try to up my blood sugar, and that's not good because then what happens is it'll spike and then it crashes more. So, like, it's really not good to have false ones too. Well, there's my little doggy, but I was trying to show something here. So then here's just another time that, you know, it's very different. This is another time that they were pretty close. You know, like I said, I tried to show all of them. Then here's one where it was going up really fast. Oops. And then here I was showing that even though, even though they were both saying that it was going up, you know, spiking, you know, it's 30 points different, which is pretty different. And one of the things I did is I, you know, did my own research as well. And in general, people have said that the Dexcom has better accuracy. It's more expensive. It can't get covered. So, you know, forget about it. And that was basically what I was doing until I decided to try this. And the other thing I did is that I went on YouTube, right? Look at videos of people comparing the Dexcom G6 and the Libre 2. And many people, it was like back and forth. Many people thought the Libre was fine, you know, that it was accurate enough and didn't have a problem. Other people think the Dexcom is better. I mean, it's one of those things that it's so much more expensive that it has to be a whole lot better to want to put all the effort to get that for me, right? So it does have to be a whole lot better. And in my experience, it is a whole lot better. And so this is a video that an endocrinologist, it's of an endocrinologist doing this, and he's talking about how the Dexcom performs better than Libre in blood sugars less than 80, and if you have a lot of blood sugar, consider getting the Dexcom G6. That was his opinion about people with hypoglycemia, because there's not a lot in general about that, and that was the one part of his video that was specifically about hypoglycemia and these two monitors. And like I said, I think most of the you know, the videos out there comparing them are for diabetes and not for hypoglycemia. And I realized we have a different set of needs. And so that's, you know, to me, that's a big deal. This is, so a few days ago, I had the last sensor of my Dexcom. So I no longer have that on at the moment. So even though in these pictures you'll see one on my phone and one on my reader, it's because I put on two Libres. So I had the one on, you know, with my reader, but they just created a Libre 2 app. So I put it on, hi sweetie. I put it on my phone and started that one, right? So I actually have two readers anyway. But anyway, let's just say I have one on each arm right now. And so this was, let's see, Monday, it's Wednesday night. So this is the two readers, right? I'm going to just call them the two readers, even though one is my phone, because with the Libre, that's what it is. It doesn't do anything else. And then you can see that the finger stick was 88. Then here, the Libre has two different ones, and one of them is close to mine and the other one's not, and says it's going down quickly and the other one does not. So, you know, that's very different. If I see this versus this, I'm going to make different decisions about my treatment. Sorry, Danny, hold on. Yes, I know. And then this is, I just have been taking more pictures. So this was yesterday. I just started basically every time one of the alarms went off on either of them, I would check both of them, because I found that they were not the same. And here we got, again, two Libres and my finger stick, and you can see the finger stick's in the middle. Now, like I said, some people think it's okay that, you know, there's that much room for error, right? If it's 104 and, you know, there's a lag time and all these kinds of things. But the problem is like, that's just not accurate enough, and it's not fast enough for me. My blood sugar can go so fast. The majority of the time, if I'm not extremely careful, and we were talking like I have to count every single carb in juice. I don't even drink juice except to bring my blood sugar up, right? So this is like an extreme situation of being like seriously, what's the word? It's intense to try to do this. And within that, you know, the way that I can manage it is because I know what my blood sugar is, right? Before it goes crazy. And so the thing is, I really do need it to tell me quickly what it's doing. And I've found that even if there is a lag time, the Dexcom seems to, in my experience, always be more accurate. And it seemed to be accurate with how I felt, because that's also a very important thing. There's hypoglycemia unawareness, but I don't have that really. I have the situation of having had bad hypoglycemia for the majority of my life, so that makes it that, you know, I don't have like you know, I guess you could say like it happens all the time and I'm used to it, so I'm having to like remind myself that the symptoms are actually something I need to pay attention to, even though, like I said, they are symptoms. It's just that I've learned to ignore them. So that's about paying attention to them. So anyway, for me, that it's very obvious that the Dexcom is more accurate for me, right? And so this is with a couple different sensors too, because I have had a Libre sensor that was so off that I actually had to take it off after a few days and get another one. And I also did, at that point, I also did the two of them at a time, and they were so different. So I just took that other one off. Then I've also had two of the sensors fall off, and not with me doing anything different. And then I had other things happen with two of them. So I've had trouble with the sensors. They're just not very high quality, right? Like, it's the price. So, yeah, I just, you know, I think for me, it became clear that this is important enough to do something about it, right? And there's also a whole bunch more alarms on the Dexcom, and I'll show you a picture later of that, because I think it's one of the biggest reasons for me that it's better is because it has actually these extra alarms, and they keep me safe, you know, and the difference between being safe and not being safe is a lot. And so just trying to figure out how to get insurance to pay for it or something, and if not, I guess I will do a GoFundMe. But I just really don't like that this is something that's very necessary, and yet I can't get it paid for, and it's so expensive that I can't pay for it as a person with an illness. So then if I don't have that, then like I said, I'm in a much better place than I was 10 months ago, for sure. But the last month of using the Dexcom, I have had like hardly any bad crashes. I've been able to manage them. It doesn't mean they wouldn't happen, right? It's that I've been managing everything so well with the Dexcom helping me that I'm not having bad crashes. So that's what I want to continue. Managing it with the Libre without the same accuracy does not end up being the same. I have way more spikes and lows, and just in general, not as smooth, I guess you could say. And it doesn't give me the same, like the Dexcom has when it's falling quickly or rising quickly, the number at a certain rate, it can alert you, right? So if my blood sugar starts going up suddenly, it doesn't have to wait till it hits 150 for the alarm to go off, like my Libre. It says it's going up fast, and then I'm like, oh shoot, So then when it's falling fast, that's a really important one, right? Because if my blood sugar can be at 180 or something, if I happen to accidentally have some carbs, usually I can keep it lower than that. But I just mean it really does go up that high. Like I have reactive hypoglycemia, where if I were to eat a piece of white bread, it would go to 180. So obviously I don't do that. And heaven forbid I had any sugar. And yeah, so anyway, the point is that then it crashes very quickly. And so having that alert for the fall rate going has been huge, because then I don't have to wait till it hits 70 for me to realize that it spiked and crashed, right? Like I ate something and then it spiked really high. Well, it's telling me that even if it goes up to 150 or something, if I have the high alarm set there, it's still gonna say it's going up quickly. Then I'm like watching it, then it says it's going down quickly, and I'm like, okay, let's get ready for this. Let's treat it before I have a bad crash. Whereas, like I said, if you only have an alarm at the low and the high, then it's like, if it doesn't go up to 150 or whatever I have to set the high at, then it doesn't even go off. So I could be totally unaware that it's spiking and then crashing, and then 10, 20 minutes later, suddenly I'm getting an alert that it's crashing. And the difference between it being at 70 and showing me that it's crashing and me then trying to do something about it versus me having been aware that it was going up quickly and then down quickly and then able to do something before it even got to 70, because I actually set the alarm at 90. So, I mean, this is like totally unprecedented in terms of I have the alarm set at 80 on my Libre, and that is a huge improvement. When I first started doing this, I had it set at 65 because otherwise the Libre alarm went off all the time. And meaning that my blood sugar was in the 70s and stuff all the time. And so, and high, low, but like, I just mean it was in there that I was, struggling to keep it in that range and up to that. So struggling to keep it up to 65 for months. And so now having the ability to keep it up above 80 with the Libre has been like a huge, after, like I said, after all this time. But then with the Dexcom, I was able to set it at 90 for the last month, and it's been amazing, So then, like I said, they're so different from waiting, until you feel the shaking and all this stuff to then like have something and then not know how high it spikes it. Because having reactive hypoglycemia, I can only have like 10 to 15 grams of carbs of juice if I don't want to spike my blood sugar when I'm trying to bring it up. Like, people will say, just have some sugar or something. It's like, no, if I do that, I'll go back up to 200 and back down again. Like, it's actually very, I have to be very careful. So, the whole thing of being able to know what's happening, like I said, also, so the fall rate and stuff, then there's also a prediction. It'll say you have an urgent low soon, right? So you can have that alarm on. And I think that's like when it's about 65 and it's like, oh, you're getting low, right? So then that one will go off. And then it has an urgent low soon, like an urgent low, which is at 55, which is automatically on there. And if I had had that for the last 10 months, I could have, well, before that too, but I could have prevented so many times of staying in a crash because I couldn't tell that I was, once I get down to that point, I can't, I can't function. So I also can't tell, like, I can't function. So nothing happens, nothing changes until later. And so I basically, Yeah, it really makes a difference. I mean, it has made such a difference. And even in the last month using the Dexcom versus the Libre, like I said, it would have been easier to just start with the Dexcom and make things more stable, more easily sooner. But I don't feel like it's not worth it to wear the Freestyle Libre. I think it is totally worth it. If I, am not going to wear the Dexcom, yes, I'll wear the Libre, but like I said, the accuracy is not great for hypoglycemia, and so that can really screw you up, which means that I think more often I would check with the finger stick against what the Libre says to make sure it fits, if it says anything drastic, which it does a lot. So anyway, like I said, for me, things are going so much better. I mean, if you look at my records from back then and versus now, it's completely different. So yeah, it's really amazing, and I really need the Dexcom to be able to keep my blood sugar stable in a really functioning way. And I couldn't believe how much less stressed I was once I got the Dexcom on and I knew that I couldn't go below 55 without the thing going off. I set it on a baby's cry, right? So that's gonna wake me up. It's a baby screaming. And so then the other alerts are all there. So I tend to crash between 6 a.m. and noon, and especially when I'm asleep. And I have a really different sleep schedule, so that's usually when I'm asleep. So that's when I used to have my seizures. Like it was like one of the biggest triggers for my seizures. So anyway, I just have been able to not have that happen a lot because of the Dexcom. Also, I'm not having false alerts, which, like I said, if I take something and up my blood sugar 30 points and it doesn't need that, that is a problem for me. Like, that can cause more problems, and cause it to crash more. And the higher it goes, the faster it crashes usually. And so, yeah, just this whole thing, it's very, the whole experience has been very intense, and I still feel that it's very intense. Thank God I've learned so much in the last 10 months. Thank God I know, the chemistry of nutrition. Thank God I have extra help. Thank God I actually have the continuous glucose monitor. I mean, all of those things have made it so that my life is so different now than it was last November. I was unable to walk at all. I was using my wheelchair at all times inside and outside of my house. I was having those crashes that we didn't know what they were. It was just like, I have so much fatigue in general that we thought that's just what it was. But it was this sudden need to like lie down and close my eyes. Like now I know what it is. And it's not just my general fatigue. And I can tell when it's happening. And I've managed to ask my caregivers to stay sometimes, like, okay, my blood sugar's crashing, can you help me get out of this? It really helps to have another person to help you with it. But also, I mean, we have created so many different things of like, I have juice boxes everywhere. I have, things that I know the exact grams of carbs in it versus, something else, and how fast they'll go into me, and like in containers everywhere, and I take them with me, and like, it's just, and I have it all by my bed. Like, I have everything I need that I did not have figured out before, right? So all of this is how I'm managing it. And so it is a lot, and it's not like I just am, it's just going well because I have a Dexcom or something. But, the continuous glucose monitor is what's made it possible to see what's going on, try to change things, which basically has just been, I've had to change things with my diet, which is like extreme things though. Like, we're talking extreme. So if you're not willing to change that, then like, you probably won't get less hypoglycemia. To me, it's totally worth it because I'm already sick. So having any more energy is like, I'm going to do this. So I am. And like I said, then it gets to a certain point where the accuracy really, it does matter. And the difference between a month ago and now is actually really big. And my friend was commenting on it last night, and I thought about it because I went out to the mattress store because I have hypermobility and my pelvis has been subluxing. So then I need a new mattress. So, because we figured out it was sagging. So anyway, I went to the mattress store and I did not come home crashed. Like, that never used to happen. We also figured out it was usually my blood sugar was crashing when I was coming home because I'd exerted a lot of energy. So then I'd be coming home and then my blood sugar starts to crash. So now that we've been managing that, I come home and I don't suddenly have to lie down as fast as possible and go into a daze and sleep for a couple hours. Because when I sleep, it's like I go in and out of sleep. It's not actually like restful sleep. I'm like in a daze, in a low blood sugar daze, and going in and out of sleep because I'm so low, not actually because I'm like getting some rest. So it actually is very exhausting instead. So having that not happen is like, I was able to go to the store and come back and not crash. Like yes, I needed to like lie down later and stuff, but like that's not happened to me. I hadn't been able to go to the store in 2 years until a couple months ago. I got to go to Target, and like now I can go out like once a week and go get my allergy shots and go to Starbucks. Like, awesome, totally awesome to me. Before I was literally almost bedbound and not able to leave my house at all, and in my wheelchair at all times. And because of having better blood sugar management and then also having energy, I had to start eating more carbs actually than I used to, and try to keep my blood sugar above 90 for me, because if I don't have that much, I still don't have much energy. Even if I prevent the crashes, I'll just stay low if I don't eat any carb, or sort of a reasonable amount of carbs. If I do super low carb, I just stay at 70 and it doesn't actually go up, and I actually am really tired then. And I didn't know, but it actually changes when I eat enough carbs and I actually have energy. So yeah, figuring all this out has been huge, and I'm really grateful that I've been able to work on it so much. So hopefully that helps.